a very warm welcome to this Onepoint Oneness meditation session. My name is Els, and I'm very happy to be with you here today. For those of you who are new, let me give you a little bit of a background to this project. These Onepoint Oneness sessions are organized by Onepoint Consulting, an IT consultancy company based in London. Several of us working for Onepoint are meditating on a regular basis. And the meditation we practice is called Raja Yoga. It's the yoga of the mind. My personal experience is that regular meditation is very helpful, as we all live in a fast-changing world and have to face sometimes many challenges. We had the thought that it might be good to share some of these meditation practices with a wider audience, with the hope that others can also benefit from meditation. The Oneness Project was launched in May 2020, which was in the middle of the COVID and pandemic, a very difficult time for many people. The format of these half-hour Oneness sessions is always a short talk about a particular topic, but then also a short guided meditation. All the sessions have been recorded and they are available on YouTube. Today, I'm very pleased to welcome John McConnel, who joins us from London. John is a stress management trainer and coach with many years of experience in running workshops, seminars, and courses in stress and anger management. He has worked as a prison governor, but also as a social worker, and has helped many people throughout his career. He is the author of the book, Breaking Through the Darkness: How to Defeat Depression, Anxiety, or Stress, a Spiritual Perspective. John has been studying and practicing Raja Yoga meditation for over 30 years now. He has a strong interest in practical application of spiritual principles in daily life. The topic for today is being beyond negative influences. So very warm welcome to you, John.
Thank you. And it's lovely to be with you. And I'm going to enjoy, and hope you're going to enjoy thinking and talking about this topic, being beyond negative influences. So before we start, I think it might be quite nice to do a relaxation exercise so that we can let go of any stress or worry and sort of be here in the moment, in the present. So if you'd like to make sure you're sitting upright or with your legs uncrossed and your hands open on your thighs, and then we're just going to breathe in slowly, deeply and gently through the nose. Fill the lungs from the bottom to the top. And then hold the breath for the count of 3 and slowly release through the mouth. So make sure you take the air right to the bottom of the lungs, not just the top part. And now just observe the impact which this slow, deep, gentle breathing is having on your body. So maybe you're feeling more comfortable. Maybe your shoulders are more relaxed. Maybe your heart rate has slowed down a little bit. And now observe the impact which the slow, deep, gentle breathing is having on your feelings. So maybe you're feeling calmer. Maybe you're feeling content. And then notice the impact which the slow, deep, gentle breathing is having on your mind. So maybe your thoughts are slowing down. Maybe your mind is beginning to feel quite peaceful, like a lake, still and calm. And now just ask yourself the question, who is doing the observing? Another way of putting that is to say, who am I? And that's quite a deep, important question. So each of us is the observer, the silent witness, the being in the body. So holding on now to these nice, relaxed, hopefully positive feelings and thoughts, just bring your attention back into the place where you are. And then just look around you and smile. And smiling is very beneficial, both for yourself and for other people, because it releases endorphins, makes you feel good, and smiles are contagious, as you've probably noticed. If you smile at somebody, they're very likely to smile back at you. So this topic, being beyond negative influences, is very important because I think we're living in a world where there are many negative influences. So to be able to take a step back, look at them, understand them, and come up with solutions for dealing with them is very important. So the first thing really to say is that, each of us is in charge of ourselves as a spiritual being, as a human being. We always have choices. In fact, we've all created our own life, whatever it may be. It might be a very happy and successful life, or it may be not so happy and not so successful. And quite often, we want to blame others for it, if it's not so good. And then if it is good, we take the credit, which is understandable. But that's a choice, or recognition of the power of choice. I either choose to do something or I choose not to do something, is really at the heart of everything. Both as a human being and as a spiritual being, because it empowers us. It takes us away from being a victim. It takes us away from handing over all our power to others and becoming like a leaf in the wind blowing around all over the place. So recognition, firstly, that, I am powerful, recognition that I do have choice, recognition that I do create my own reality through my thoughts, through my perception, through my beliefs, through my understanding of life as it unfolds before me. These are, fundamental to any form of success in life, and particularly dealing with negative influences. And in a way, I'll talk about them in a bit more in a second, but we do have a choice whether we're influenced by these negative influences or whether we go beyond them. And so, in a way, we want to protect ourselves as much as possible from negative influences. And actually, if we can, refuse to take them on board, refuse to allow them to affect our mind, because once they get into the mind, these negative influences will then create fear and tension and unhappiness. And then ultimately, if we carry on like that, being stressed and worried, it's going to affect our health. And then that's going to lead to unhappiness. So recognizing I've got the power to either let these things in or keep them out is very important. So that's like the foundation for it. And then the other understanding is knowing the difference between negative influences and positive influences. And in other words, really the difference between negative thoughts and positive thoughts. Because on one level, an influence can be positive or it can be negative, depending on how we see it. So again, it brings us back to myself, how I am perceiving things. So a negative thought is, or a perspective, is one which damages the self and other people. So if I have a negative thought about myself, I don't like myself, or I'm stupid, or anything like that, it's going to impact in the ways I've already suggested. I'm not going to feel good about myself. I'm going to feel disgruntled, unhappy. That's going to have an impact on my body and on my relationships, because I'm going to start getting critical and judgmental, and the whole thing will escalate. And those negative influences will then grow. So knowing the difference between the negative and then the positive, which is the opposite. So a positive thought is a thought which brings benefit to myself and to other people. So if I'm feeding myself some nice thoughts like, well done, you handled that really well, you're actually a very nice person, you're kind and you're understanding, that sort of positive self-talk is going to give me a lift. It's going to make me feel better about myself. And when I'm feeling better about myself, I'm more open to dealing with other things in a different sort of way. And you could say that positive thoughts ultimately are love-based compared with the fear-based thoughts, fear-based feelings and approach of negative thoughts. Because love, not in a sentimental way, but love is like a powerful positive energy. And so if I can come from that space and deal with everything from that space of love and abundance and good wishes for everyone, and an understanding that everything has benefit in it, that's going to be very different if I'm coming from a fear-based position where everything is seen as a challenge, as a threat, as an attack on myself, one way or the other. So having that understanding is definitely important. And then looking at the influences, because influences are there having an impact to a greater or lesser extent, depending on how I see them and how I deal with them, going to have an influence or going to have an effect on my thinking, on my behavior, on my relationships. So negative influences really come in two sorts. There are the external negative influences. So anything outside of myself, excuse me, like the pressure at work that I may be under, challenges in terms of finances. We're all challenged at the moment with that. The cost of mortgages, the cost of food, all these are influences which can have an impact on us, especially if we don't have much in the way of money or food, or if our job is under threat. And then, of course, health issues. If I've got diabetes or if I've got a heart condition, all those sorts of things are going to have an impact on me, are going to affect the way I think and feel and behave. So there's loads of influences out there. The ones which have an impact directly, the ones we've just been talking about. There's the influence of the social media, which in a way, a lot of the images are detrimental, war scenes, stories of fighting and upset and all those sorts of things. And there's the war situation here in different countries. So there's lots out there which can end up like a crushing burden, really putting me down. So we want to rise above that, go beyond that if we can. And so we've got those influences. Then we've got the internal influences, because all of that out there will be made worse if I've already sort of given up on myself inside. If I have low self-esteem, if I have a lack of self-respect, a lack of self-love, if I'm always thinking about the past and what a terrible childhood I had, or if I'm full of regrets, if only I'd taken that job, or if I'm worried about the future, what's going to happen to me when I die. There's so many internal influences, which, if they're not looked at, if they're not sorted out, they're going to have an impact on how I react or deal with things on the outside. Because if I'm coming from a position of inferiority, a position of feeling a victim, if I don't like myself, then all those external influences will have a much greater impact. So how do we transform all of this? For that, I would say we need a little bit of spiritual knowledge, a little bit of spiritual awareness, and it's fairly obvious in a way, although maybe a lot of us have forgotten it. There were more than a body. There is a being in the body, and that being has until relatively recently been known and accepted throughout the whole world, really, as a soul or a spirit. It's only in relatively recent times, when rational science has taken a grip on us all, that we've been reduced to the status of an advanced ape. And we come and we go just like any other animal. Now that now is being challenged once again, and the science of consciousness and various other approaches are actually reinstating or refocusing on that eternal truth that we are beings of peace and love and happiness. And actually, this is one of the main messages of the Brahma Kumaris, because in the West, quite often, we've been influenced by the Abrahamic religions, which consider the soul to be in a state of sin. So when a child or a baby, when a soul goes into the womb and comes out as a baby, that baby will be seen as sinful, even though it hasn't actually done anything yet, and therefore has to be baptized and the sin washed away. So that negative view of human beings pervades the Western world, and it leads to fear and force, trying to keep down the badness. So that in itself is a huge negative influence. And then the beauty of the Brahma Kumari's approach, which actually it fits in with the Eastern traditions, is the soul, when it first comes into a body, is completely pure and positive, full of a loving, powerful, peaceful energy. So when it comes to overcoming negative influences, it's very important to remember this, to tune into this, to tap into my innate goodness, my innate wisdom, my conscience, my intuition. They're all there beneath the surface of all this negativity. And this is where the meditation comes in, because in the meditation, we can go beyond all those external influences and internal influences, and we can focus on the goodness. And when we get in touch with that, it releases our power. It gives us a new perspective, gives us an opportunity to see things in a different way. So, for example, with a spiritual perspective, we understand, like the law of karma, what you give out, you'll get back. So if I'm under a negative influence, it's probably because in the past I've done something which is now impacting on me. And the beauty of the law of karma is that once you understand that, you can change the karma by doing the opposite. So instead of being angry with people and having unhappy relationships, we get in touch with our peace and start creating peaceful relationships with people, forgiving people, accepting people, loving people, seeing the best in people. If we keep on doing that, then the relationship must change for the better. So in other words, we've transformed a negative influence into a positive influence. So this is like, just one example of what we can do with that spiritual perspective. Another understanding is that there is benefit in everything. So a lot of people might be a bit surprised by that. How come there's benefit in inflation, or how come there's benefit in war? And this is where you have to go deeper and think, through these experiences, we're receiving messages. So the message of war is actually, you've got to find ways of overcoming it and becoming peaceful. And some people, they keep on banging their head against a brick wall for a long time. And unfortunately, there are souls in the world at the moment who are very angry and creating lots of conflicts. And one day they'll recognize, or they'll realize actually, that it's not the answer. But some have to go through a lot to realize that. And then they'll discover that they need to return to a state of peace. So peace actually is vital in everything. Vital for your health, vital for relationships, vital for dealing with all the challenging situations outside. So there's a nice little phrase we use, the Brahma Kumaris use, which is Om Shanti. So Om, I'm a soul. Shanti means peace. So Om Shanti, I'm a peaceful soul. So it's worth experimenting with that actually and trying it. And when you're under a negative influence, or you can see one, because in a way we need to stand back a little bit. This is another aspect of spirituality and good living, is taking a step back so you can see the bigger picture, never taking anything personally, So if somebody is angry with me, maybe it's something I've done from a spiritual perspective. I have triggered off an angry reaction in them, and they're responsible for their own thoughts, words, and actions, just like I'm responsible for mine. So I need to deal with that situation with some compassion and understanding, because they are already suffering. Once you understand that, you don't take these things personally, because on one level, it's nothing to do with me. If they were completely happy in their life, if they were completely peaceful, I could say or do things and it would be like water off a duck's back. So these perspectives actually help us a lot to go beyond all these negative thoughts and influences. Right, so I think I'd like to, because the time is nearly up, I'd like to read something from a book called Companion of God by Daddy Yankee, and we'll use this as like a meditation to some extent. So a meditation really is focusing on the inside, creating good thoughts and feeling the thoughts. And then that feeling uplifts us and empowers us. So I'll read this, and so if you just like to sit back and relax, I have to read it without. See if I can read it. I'll try and read it without my glasses, otherwise you're going to be distracted. So this is called Ruler of the Self. There is a connection between a mind which is peaceful and behavior which is good. It is interesting to note from how the sensory apparatus, sight, touch, hearing, taste, and smell, are all involved in this. For example, suppose I promise myself not to get angry anymore, but then later in the day, I see or hear something negative. If I allow myself to forget my promise, that is, if my level of awareness regresses to what it was before my promise, then my immediate reaction will probably be one that is equally negative. However, if I remember my promise, the same stimuli will most likely produce a wiser, more resourceful response. With spiritual study, my mind grows strong in its commitment to peace and truth in action. This strength allows me to gain control over the sense organs. I simply don't allow them to take in whatever they want, according to any of my old habits. I remain consciously present, monitoring whatever they do. It is the first step in becoming a master, a ruler of the kingdom of the self. So just for a moment, see yourself as a ruler of your internal kingdom. A peaceful ruler, a loving ruler, a happy ruler.
Thank you, John, for sharing your thoughts on this topic, but also for reading from this book from Daddy Yankee, which is one of my favorite books as well, Companion of God. So beautiful, thank you. But also a few things I've written down for myself that you shared. I create my own reality, and that's a fundamental understanding not to slip into victim consciousness. I really like that idea and to further explore and look at it. But also, we need to stop handing over our powers to others. and the understanding that if I allow these negative influences, they actually will drain my energy. So thank you for that, John. Really great. Thanks to those who have joined us today, and I hope you have enjoyed this session. And we're looking forward to welcoming you again at the next 1.1 session. Okay, bye-bye.